What is up, everybody? I am George Mossey. I'm here with my co-hosts Marshana, Dahlia, Spavento. Last night we got 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 3, Episode 9. I have a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to jump through anything. I'm just going to jump in because a lot of crazy stuff happened last night that I want to address. So I'm going to start out real quick with Corey and Evelyn. So for some reason, they are back at it. And Evelyn shows up to Corey's house for dinner, for burgers, and then they decide to go to couples counseling. And what really irritated me was during counseling, she brought up Corey's cheating with Jenny. She also admitted that they were on a break, but she brought up his cheating with Jenny, but she did not bring up the fact that she cheated on Corey a year ago with her ex-boyfriend. And I don't feel like counseling is going to work if you're only going to tell her half of the story.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Evelyn is such a hypocrite. She's crying now that she's the victim, but she also did the same thing. So what's good for the goose ought to be good for the gander. And I don't get this. Also, I'm exhausted with this storyline, truthfully, because why are we still walking around the same mountain, years and years and years and years later? They are married. It actually happened. But even when the therapist was like, hey, why, it works when both people want the relationship to work, and she's like, like that sums up the whole relationship. She doesn't really want it, so I'm not really sure what's in it for Evelyn or what the purpose of this exercise is, but it's completely a waste of time.
It is. The whole thing is a waste of time. And when she said she discovered Jenny when she was in a car accident and she reached out to Corey for support. And I think we both know what support that was because her car was totaled and she needed a new car. And I'm just going to leave that there. You guys can take and do what you will with it. And I'm going to end it with that with them because I don't even want to talk about them anymore. So what interesting happened last night with Kenny and Armando, Kenny finds out that his daughter Cassie is pregnant. And I think this is when it really, first of all, congratulations to Cassie on your pregnancy and your baby. I'm so happy for you. And I think this is when Kenny realized that he had given up a huge aspect of his life, being there for his daughter during her pregnancy, physically being there for the birth of his grandchild, things like that he didn't really think about. He's actually not going to be able to do. And at this point, he's having second thoughts, and Armando's actually nervous because they haven't actually gotten married yet. It's possible that Kenny could get on the next thing smoking and go back home.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel for Kenny because with anybody, right, who's kind of sacrificed themselves for a relationship, left their home, their country, their family, and he was so involved in his grandson's life, and to know that he has another grandchild on the way and he's not going to be able to spend those early formative years with this grandchild is hitting home for him. So I get that. I was with Armando though, like, Kenny, you're kind of scaring me. Like, what are we gonna do here? Like, because he just seemed so cryptic when he was talking with Armando. But listen, I think they are everybody's favorite couple, the most healthy couple that we've seen on the 90 Day franchise, maybe ever. So I'm really hoping that everything works out for them. I know what happens in the end, but I don't want to spoil this for the people who watch the podcast who don't know. So I'm just wishing them the best.
I hope for them the best as well. We do know that Armando has also sacrificed as well. So I feel like Kenny is looking at it as though I sacrificed more. And when you're in a relationship, you can't measure the amount of sacrifice. That's not fair. Sacrifices come in big decisions and small decisions, and all together they equal a good relationship. So like you said, their communication is really good. So I'm hoping that they can talk their way through this and maybe coordinate visits and spending time in Florida, spending time in Mexico so that they can still grow up together because Armando and his daughter get to grow up with her family. Kenny does still deserve to grow up with them, and I hope that they can coordinate that and make it happen. All right, so let's talk about Jenny and Submit. So my favorite part of the show last night was Submit's mother literally insulting Jenny in every way, and I wrote some of them down. Hold on. She said, "You're an old hag, you're Submit's grandmother, and you're useless."
She
Those were.
didn't say that.
She didn't?
No,
What
she
did she
did not
say?
say that. What she said was, we have a big family, and the way things work in India, when people come from our family and they come and they see and they look at you, they are going to make fun of you. They are going to taunt you. They are going to say, Dekona, this is Sumit's grandmother. This is Daraji. This is gonna be, they're gonna say that you are even his grandmother. They're gonna say that you are this, you are that. She herself wasn't saying that. And I think that got lost in the translation for maybe viewers and people who don't speak
Mm-hmm.
Hindi. If you didn't know. I believe I rewound and I did think that they did catch that part in the translation at the bottom, but she herself wasn't calling Jenny even though she might think it. She herself wasn't calling her those names. She was saying that, will you be able to handle it? Because it was a question. When people say these things about you, because I know my folks and this is what's going to happen. And Jenny's ultimate answer, even though she didn't fully understand the context, was no, I can't handle it. Well, sis, if you can't handle it, fine. Not that we should base our lives what other people will say and what other people will do, but if you know what comes with the territory and you can't handle it, don't go to the territory.
I agree with you. I think that at this point, Jenny is basically reaching. Like, this relationship is never going to work. And then last night we also find out that Sumit has a dream of them all living together with his parents. But like you said, this is all culture. This is how it's supposed to be. And if Jenny would have Googled this before she arrived in India, she would not be surprised, and she would be aware that this was the ultimate goal for her to live with his parents with him.
This is beyond me, because like you say, it's a simple Google search. It's called a joint family, and the joint family structure is the traditional Indian way. It does not mean that Indian families or South Asian families as a whole don't live otherwise. They do, but the tradition, and if you're dating a traditional man from a traditional family with traditional values, you see his brother has followed the tradition, gotten a daughter-in-law for his mother, brought the daughter-in-law home to his mother, and now his sister-in-law is having a baby. These are the way things work in these types of traditional families. And you and I, you're married to your wife, I'm married to my husband, and we understood that when we married them, a part of their family was coming as part of the package deal. Even some family members, you say, okay, I don't want to deal with this one, or even I don't want to deal with that one. But for the overwhelming majority of marriages, you adopt the family. This is it, Jenny. Either you want in or not.
I agree. Jenny is almost demanding that they change their culture for her. And I don't like the way that makes Americans look, because that is not how all Americans are. We do not go into other people's countries and territories and tell them how to live in their culture. And I don't like that she's doing that. Like you said, take it or leave it. This is the way their family and culture works. And if it doesn't work for you, you have to hop on a plane and move on. All right, that's it for part one. I'm going to come back for part two and talk about Stephen and Alina and Ariella and Biniam, because I have a lot to say. And I've gotten probably 400 or 500 mentions on that, Ariella and Biniam alone. So I just want to touch on some of that. All right, guys, I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Marshana, Dahlia, Spavento. Thank you for joining us. And make sure you live tweet with us every Sunday night. I'll have our Twitters and our socials at the bottom. And we'll talk to you guys real soon.